Welcome to the One Zen Academy Fitness Podcast. Everything health, wellness, fitness and performance all under one roof. My name's Kieran. I've got over 15 years worth of experience within personal training, health, wellness and sports rehabilitation. For more information, go to www.onezenacademy.com. Thank you. Why, hello, welcome. So it's been a while since the last podcast. I hope this finds you well. I thought I would take a little dive, just a little skinny dip into nutrition. I know it's a bit of sometimes a controversial subject because everyone has their opinions on nutrition for health, nutrition for weight loss, and everything in between. I'm no different. I definitely have an opinion on it because I live and breathe this every day. So I see groups of 15, 20 people and we talk nutrition and behavior change pretty much Monday to Friday. So I see probably 200 people a week and that's all we discuss. And it's as part of the National Diabetes Prevention Program. But further to that, I have been doing personal training for about 15 years, sports rehabilitation for the same length of time, and complete various qualifications in and around movement, functional movement, health, definitely a multitude of nutritional qualifications and such. And the nutrition side of it hasn't necessarily changed too much. There's the kind of low-hanging fruit, if you will, that people just aren't doing. So when we take that deep dive into nutrition, there'll be things that you've definitely heard before. I've got no doubt. But I like to think I have sometimes a unique view on such things. I may look at things a bit differently, and I sometimes think a little bit outside the box. This isn't supposed to in any way come across as like a controversial podcast to get viewing figures or kind of clickbait or anything like that. This is my opinion based on science, but also everyday life, what I actually see, observe, and the results I get from people. So this is kind of a mixture. And I want to make clear this is about 15 years worth of things I'm going to dump on you. So maybe these are just more my thoughts and ramblings. So if that's not your cup of tea, probably switch off now. Okay, for those of you who just switched off, you won't mind me rambling on. For those of you who are sticking by, then let's go for that ride. So I'm in the middle of writing a book on behavior change within nutrition. And these are my kind of thoughts from this. Now, I am a firm believer in go within or go without. Okay, so I am a firm believer in that. And I do have certain thoughts on nutrition, movement, and everything in between. So, are you ready? Number one, all diets work and all diets are rubbish. I know. Start as we mean to go on, eh? Now, that's just my initial thought, and that will kind of give you an idea about where we're going to go. All diets work and all diets are rubbish. There's like a 90% failure rate in diets and nutrition out there because they don't really address the one constant, which we'll talk about shortly. Most people are led by beliefs and bias, which has no backing in science or practice, and has more to do with how we're brought up by our parents or our guardians, our culture and our religion. Again, this is just what I've observed. You don't have to agree with it, and that's cool. but it's just what I've observed. We are led by our beliefs, our biases, with no backing in science or practice. And it does have more to do with pretty much how we're brought up and how we're molded, normally in the first 12 years of life. I believe there is too much emphasis placed upon calories. And people seem to be of two schools, don't they? They're either, if you're looking at weight loss, it's definitely calories in versus calories out, and nothing else matters, and they'll almost like form a picket line. And then you have the other end of the spectrum where people say, for weight loss, calories make no impact whatsoever. They're rubbish. Don't listen to them. Why do we have to be so extreme? Okay, calories do matter to a degree, but probably not as much as people believe they do. But the type of food you eat has a great deal of weight, a great deal of value, because that's really all your body knows. And we'll take a little dive into that. If someone tries to tell you that this food is better than you fill in the blank, it's not. Don't believe food marketing. As I tell the people that I see, when you go shopping with a degree of cynicism. Be a skeptic. If a margarine promises that it's going to lower your cholesterol, don't believe it, because it's probably not. Everyone knows, or at least they should, that margarines are full of hydrogenated fats, and that the plant stenols and sterols within that margarine have been shown to lower cholesterol. But if I was to say to you, how would you eat plant stenols and sterols? I'm hoping your answer is you would call them vegetables. But we know, unfortunately, 66% of the UK population is only having 3 portions of veg or less per day. So you can see that they're just really filling in gaps in the market. So on the food packaging is just very clever grammar, unfortunately. So yeah, margarine is not magic. It won't miraculously lower your cholesterol. Your lifestyle as a whole manages your cholesterol, not the magic margarine. Remember that. Another thought, that whey protein will not improve your life in any way. It's a supplement. To supplement your food, not to replace it. So if you believe or feel or you have scientific data that backs up you are not getting enough protein in your diet, or you lead a lifestyle that's quite hectic and you think, you know what, I need a supplement with protein because I can't possibly eat enough, then fantastic. The whey protein will improve your life in terms of recovery from weight training or training in general, and so on. We definitely need protein. Whether or not you need that supplement remains to be answered by yourself. But remember, sports supplements, their words, their images are designed to get you to purchase more of it. And sometimes it's in a bid to get you to believe that you need it, like pre-workout drinks. What did we do before pre-workout drinks? Not work out? Of course not. You see what I mean? It's all a way to try and get you to purchase more, to believe that this will improve your life, improve your training. Normally images of people who are ripped, low percent body fat and so on. If you guzzle this, you will look like that. Probably not, to be fair. Another thought, cholesterol is neither good nor bad. I'll just leave that there. Type 2 diabetes is often caused by multiple factors and not just sugar. Now, I'm not saying sugar is good for you either, but it's not just about the sugar. It's your lifestyle overall. This is maybe a controversial one. You're overweight because of your lifestyle that you lead, not genetics, bone density, low thyroid, age, etc., etc., etc. Now, I'm not saying that those things don't pose problems for people or have an impact, but again, remember I said low-hanging fruit, go for the obvious things. It's your lifestyle, okay? let's face it, if I was overweight, or I think I am overweight or obese, I would know, in all honesty, it's because of probably what I'm putting in my mouth and what I'm not doing. Eating too much and not moving off my bottom. Most foods in supermarkets, okay, wait for it. Most food in supermarkets are shit and not worth buying. Yes, I stand by that. So if anyone from any food manufacturer is listening, prove me wrong. I go shopping every week. So I do the food shop. I control the budgets for the house, and I do all the cooking. Yes, I'm awesome as a husband. But most food in the supermarkets is really shit. And it's just really not worth buying. And I sometimes only buy the shit food purely because my 5-year-old won't stop pestering me. And even then, his diet is pretty good. His activity levels are phenomenal. Okay? I have to witness and view, as I go shopping, people dumping all sorts into their trolleys, into their baskets, and it's quite painful. I have to listen to music or other podcasts or audiobooks because I really don't want to listen to people's justification on a 3-kilo bar of chocolate and why it's okay for them to eat it. Yes, that happens a lot. On with the food supermarket, the traffic light system in life allows the smooth transit of passengers in vehicles so they don't crash. The traffic light system on foods prevents the same in your physiology, but it's not telling you what's healthy and what is not. So the traffic light system in the UK is quite handy. It tells you if something's, high in fat, high in sugar, high in salt, without really having to delve too deeply into the ingredients. But, it's only giving you a summary, a general gist. Okay. It's not necessarily saying that this is healthy. It's just saying that if it's all green and it's a packaged food, it's probably just suggesting this will kill you slowly rather than faster. I know. Another thought, you need to move more. Oh, yes, you do. No, seriously, move more. Now, I didn't say exercise, I just said move more. Even me. Yes, there are days where I'm admin heavy, where I'm in front of the laptop, editing this podcast, for instance. Yes, unbelievably, I do edit the podcast. They aren't just mindless ramblings. If I didn't edit the podcast, they'd all be 3 hours long and you'd be very, very bored. So even then, I have to move more. So that's when I may use technology like my watch that vibrates every hour and says, Kieran, move off your ass. And I say, but Jesus Christ, okay. Another thought. Cancer is not prevented using apple cider vinegar. Now, I want to make clear, I'm a big fan of apple cider vinegar for a lot of other reasons in terms of what it can do to blood sugar. I don't need science to tell me that. There is evidence there, by the way, but I feel it. Okay, I do feel it. It makes me feel better. But those sorts of, food supplements or those food add-ons that you often go on certain websites and they'll say, the top 10 things that prevent cancer. And I think, wow, if everyone knew this, it'd be amazing. If cancer research knew this, that'd be brilliant. If you could kind of send them an email about it. Now, again, low-hanging fruit. If you want to decrease your chance of cancer, you need to move a lot more. Okay? Doing an adequate amount of movement lowers your chance of things like breast cancer, cervical cancer, testicular, prostate cancer by 35%. That's just a really good number to start with. If you then put diet and nutrition on top of that, you can get up into the 60-70% reduction rate, which means statistically you may never see cancer ever. Do you see what I mean? There's a lot of basic things that we need to do. Apple cider vinegar is not the basic thing. That might just be a nice little add-on at the end. But like I said, I'm a big fan of apple cider vinegar and other such food supplements for other reasons. And the last thought I will bore you to tears with is most personal trainers and nutritionists on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram are not qualified. Yes, I repeat, most personal trainers, nutritionists on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and other such social media platforms are not qualified. They use their ripped, fantastic bodies to sell their fantasy information. What they don't tell you is how much it really costs in money, health, and your soul. Yes, you heard it from me, and it's probably not the first time you've heard it. My company deals in qualifying people to become personal trainers, sports therapists, nutritional advisors, and so on. And that's what I do for a living. I love it. I love changing people's lives, changing their careers, basically. And I can tell you now, you only have to do a quick search on most of the trainers out there, their name, and look for any evidence that they're qualified. And if you're listening to this, I would stand by, even if you've got a personal trainer now, or you're looking for a personal trainer, it's completely normal and acceptable to ask them to demonstrate their qualifications, whether it's a picture, whether they bring it along to their consultation with you, whatever it is, just the evidence. I think, it's due diligence. Ask for it. If someone asked me for my qualifications, I'd be happy to show, because if I've earned them, I'd be more than happy to bang on about how qualified I am. It's one of those things where the people that get angry or irate about it, I don't know why I turned Irish then, irate. People that get irate about it are normally the ones who are not qualified, or maybe feel they don't have enough qualification. But, hey ho. So, let's begin proper. I know that wasn't even the beginning, that was like my preamble. So, I want to make clear that most people know an awful lot about nutrition. Okay? The issue is we suffer this barrage of self-doubt every day, this fear of failure, and we tend to second guess ourselves, and we believe everything these days is confusing. This spreads out to all areas of our lives, nutrition, and nutrition is a major area. When I teach workshops such as diabetes prevention, or I'm teaching the nutritional advisor course as part of the PT diploma, I ask participants or students to rearrange a bunch of food I have from highest calories to lowest calories. And I want to make clear, imagine calories is a language everyone's heard of. Okay, so calories this, calories that, and people have just been bombarded with it. So everyone believes that they know how to talk the calories language. But there's another language that everyone grew up with, and it's called good and bad. We all know intrinsically what good food looks like and bad food looks like. Okay, the nuances aside, you could speak to a nutritionist and say, actually, no, this is slightly better for you. And I would, they could go on and on and on, and I wouldn't disagree. But for most people, remember, it's the low-hanging fruit. Most people know what good and bad food actually look like. And all I do is I put a potato on the floor. These are fake foods, by the way. I've probably stolen them from my 5-year-old son's kitchen. But in turn, he does steal from me as well. Not that I promote stealing in my house. I want to make that clear. So I put a potato on the floor, 2 digestive biscuits. I'm not sure if you're listening in the USA, Asia, or Australia, if you have digestive biscuits or the equivalent, 2 cookies, small cookies, 15 grams of butter, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, half a pint of beer, 230 grams of mixed veg, and a banana. Now, I get people to put them into high calories to low calories. Every single group I've ever seen, every single student I've ever seen, always puts them into not calorie order, but from bad to good, or from bad to better. This is the issue, is we all know really there is an order. And bear in mind, 200 people a week for the last 2 years, I've never had a group of people who really got the order completely different. Okay, they always put it into a very similar order. So we already know what bad to good looks like. So where's the confusion really? The confusion is everyone banging on about numbers in the form of calories. Oh, you should have this many calories. Whoa, fuck, I don't know what that looks like. Of course you don't. You know, I would argue I probably don't. But I know what good nutrition is, and I know what bad nutrition is. I know what good food is, and I know what shit food is. We already do. Start there. Okay, there's no need to overcomplicate it. Just start there. You will make good choices. I promise you. The confusion is from the misinformation designed by companies trying to sell you something. It makes sense, really. Look at it objectively. In order to stand out from the crowd, I have to say something that walks either the far left or far right of an extreme view. Okay, you only have to look at politics right now to understand this is true. It's okay to deal in part truths, apparently. So hence the margarine, or you know, this sweetener is 100% better than sugar. Or where are you getting that data from? I see this every day. You got to imagine that if you took all the packaging off the foods in the supermarket but put them in the same places, I promise you wouldn't know what to buy. Okay, you wouldn't know what to buy. I would like to think that people would think, fuck this, I'm just going to go and buy a bunch of veg, maybe a bit of meat. If I don't eat meat, maybe a bit of fermented soy like tempeh, and cook it up with some herbs and spices. I like to think people would do that because that's where proper food lies, not in the pre-packaged nonsense that's out there. So when they put them into order, everyone knows. But they'll because everyone talks in terms of, as soon as I mention calories, people stop talking about calories. They're saying, oh, but that banana is high in sugar, or that potato is high in carbohydrates. And unfortunately, although the order is normally quite good, we default to our biases. So, for instance, people have trouble placing the banana, the potato, and the olive oil. Why? And it's because of this bias on our current belief. So remember I said our beliefs dictate really our choices. So someone in authority, such as a doctor or a diabetic nurse, will state something such as a banana is high in sugar. The participant then states, wow, it's high in sugar. And then the fun begins. For them, the conversation has stopped. But the conversation for me is just getting started. I normally reply with, the banana is high in sugar compared to what? Other fruit? Maybe. Compared to a pack of chocolate, such as Maltesers or your standard other brands are available? It's nowhere near. But why do we try to justify eating chocolate but put so much emphasis on the banana? The banana is not the reason for diabetes, weight gain, coronary heart disease, heart attack, strokes, cancer, etc. But you could argue that Maltesers or that chocolate bar, which is high in trans fats, about 2.5 to 3 days worth of refined sugar in one bar of chocolate, could be implicated in increasing your chances of coronary heart disease, weight gain, diabetes, etc. But we'll justify that. Why? Because we like it, because it tastes nice. And that's the first, I guess, lesson in all of this. If you're looking to lose weight, if you're looking to improve sports performance or whatever it is, start from a place of honesty. Be honest with yourself. What do you actually want? That may seem like a superficial question, but you can take a deeper dive into that. What do you want? Food is confusing. Nah, not really. Not even close. We're always looking for a way to justify our decision. You just have to be honest. If you're looking at the back of a pack of chocolate and thinking, is this okay? It's not. If you're looking at the packet of crisps and thinking, crisps are potato chips, by the way, and thinking, these are low in calories. Should I be eating these? It's okay to eat these, right? You've lost and you've missed the point. Stop trying to justify your bad behaviors. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, what do I want? Do I want to lose weight? Look at yourself in the mirror and say, if I want to lose weight, then I need to sort my shit out. There's no two ways about it. People constantly look at the back of packets of things like chocolate, like potato chips, like whatever it is, in a bid to try and justify that decision. If you are looking at the back of a packet like that, put it down. Stop kidding yourself, please. Eat nutrition, not calories. Yes, a calorie deficit is required to reduce weight, but you don't have to count calories. You just have to eat nutrition. Okay, so consider this list of foods: an apple, broccoli, milk chocolate bar, chicken breast, lentils, soaked of course, crisps, a croissant, quinoa, walnuts, pork pie, white bread, peas, and a slushie, aka slush puppy. So there would have been foods that just stood out for you, like the pork pie. Okay. So for instance, if you just thought to yourself that it was an apple, broccoli, chicken breast, lentils soaked, quinoa, walnuts, and peas, and they stood out to you as good, you were able to separate them from the non-nutritional. Well done. That's awesome. If you named all of them and then thought, oh yeah, I want to include the white bread in that, then you were saying, or you were thinking, yeah, and definitely a milk chocolate bar as well. And you were saying to yourself, well, the bar of chocolate in moderation, then you need to have a conversation with yourself. You are being led down a dark path by your beliefs around food and nutrition. You will definitely get a lot out of this podcast. And that's my bias, obviously. If you said all the correct ones, then you're definitely on the right path. But if you're looking for a way to justify the others, then be honest with yourself straight away. That tells you a lot about your state of mind right now. Okay. So why do we eat high calorie foods, such as the chocolate bar? Well, your brain is kind of wired to eat high calorie foods, especially if you're not sleeping enough. So sleep has been implicated as one of the biggest reasons people overeat. So I read somewhere that if you don't get enough sleep, you overeat by an average of 400 calories in refined carbohydrates and fatty foods the next day. 400 calories. That's about, that's like an extra all butter croissant. Okay, it's one of those. That's 400 calories, unbelievably. The brain and mind are a bit complex. They've been studying this for an age, but the fundamental reason why we eat those foods, chocolate, pastries, etc., is because we just crave fat, sugar, and salt. Let's face it. As soon as it enters your mouth, within that hole that we talk with, it's hardwired into your limbic system, the emotional part of your brain, to an area called the amygdala. Now, during our normal stress-free day, our prefrontal cortex, which is the logical reasoning part of our brain, is in action, or at least it should be. This allows us to take new information, process things logically, and generally separates us from the animals. During times of stress, this can not necessarily shut down, but take a back seat and temporarily allow the older, more survival parts of our brain to take over. This makes sense. If someone tries to attack you or a lion jumps out of you, maybe you work as a zookeeper, I don't know. You don't have time for rational thinking or, to debate ideas with a lion. So you default to old ideas, habits, current belief, previous experience, and we call this the freeze, fight or flight response. People think it's just fight or flight. If you've ever seen any animals in nature, they freeze first. Okay, freeze, fight or flight. This is great short term. But these type of stresses that our physiology is hardwired for the good old days of running from lions and tigers, and obviously we all lived in Africa apparently, or India. Who doesn't miss a good lion chase? It's just not suited for us in the 21st century. So pretty much here's what happens instead. So you didn't sleep well the night before. This increases your natural stress. You have a coffee in the morning because you feel you need coffee rather than want it. But skip breakfast, or worse, you engage in a pastry. It's a stress, by the way. You run late for work. Oh, I definitely feel stressed about that. You go to a job you don't like. You feel you're not living your true, authentic life. This is all stress. It accumulates. Okay, it accumulates. So I'm sure you can see where this is going. We constantly keep turning on the survival parts of our brain and default to old habits, beliefs, and behaviors. We not only perceive everything as a threat, my amygdala starts to speak up as it takes a lot of energy becoming and staying stressed. Energy in the form of calories is what it needs. So to satisfy the desire, we feel better, because that's really what we want. We want to feel better. We get calories in turn from our what we call comfort foods. We also use a system that we're all familiar with, but few realize what it's actually doing. Okay, prepare yourself for the first major realization. Using your designated comfort food as a reward system is a really, really bad start to any, if you're on a diet or you're looking to lose weight, it's the worst start. That's right. It's not okay to call it a treat or give yourself a reward. For those of you listening who own a dog, how do you instill certain behaviors in your dog? Yeah, that's right. You get them to do something that you want, such as sit, and then you reward that behavior with a treat, creating a behavior in that dog that you want. It then becomes the ultimate belief of that dog that every time it sits down, it gets validation from its God, small g, us. We're no different. Every time you call it a reward or you give yourself a treat, you're instilling that behavior that makes it okay. Stop calling it a fucking treat. It's the opposite. Remember, be honest. Have the chocolate bar because you want it, but know it's awful. Don't kid yourself. This you will thank me for at a later date. It's true. I enjoy the odd chocolate bar now and then. I make no bones about it. But I'm honest enough about it to know that this has an impact on my health. So what else am I doing to invest in my health bank account? Okay, the chocolate bar is a withdrawal. What am I doing to improve? Okay, but do not call it a treat. Do not reward yourself. Do not have a workout and think, I deserve this croissant. I deserve this chocolate bar. You don't. You don't deserve it. Okay, if you're going to have it, just say, oh, just because I want it. Be honest. Don't use those words to instill that behavior. I promise it works a treat. Now, unfortunately, because of the behaviors which fast become our beliefs, are now fully embedded in our psyche, we start to use the following phrases and we procrastinate. So, Is this you? I don't have the willpower. I really hope I can do this. You know, I'm surviving. Jesus Christ, I'll start again Monday. I'll start again in the new year, after Easter, after my birthday. You fill in the blank. Apologies about the accents. I couldn't help myself. I'm really sorry. But you see what I mean. You'll start using those phrases. These all indicate that you're low in motivation and becoming less and less likely to achieve any success. Every time you crave and give in to this drive, this behavior becomes deeper and deeper in your mind. What is your actual goal? Do not let it get to this. So you need to be honest with yourself. Take an honest conversation. What do you want? Really, what do you want? If no one else was around, what do you want? Do you actually want to lose weight? If you don't, that's okay. But be clear on what you want. Do you want to lower your blood pressure? Well, there's other ways of doing that. And as a byproduct, you may lose weight. But what is your goal? Because if you know what your goal is, it doesn't really have to get to that because you're more likely to stick to it. Remember, your goal is not what other people expect of you. It's what you actually want. Please be honest. Otherwise, you'll never achieve any success. So I guess as stated in my preamble introduction, the low-hanging fruit of nutrition. Most people just aren't eating nutrition. So imagine you just scrap calories and you're looking to eat good food. Okay. So if I said to you, I want you to eat more good fats. Right now, you listening, you might reel off in your head a bunch of good fats. You may think oily fish. You may think olive oil. That's a fantastic start, by the way. Okay, but see what I mean? This is where we start from. So things like saturated fat, for instance. I'm not saying saturated fat is necessarily bad for you, but maybe excessive amounts for certain people, including myself. I've been tested. Long story short, my genetics just can't handle a lot of saturated fat. But there is kind of a limit to saturated fat in the UK, and it's not probably as low as you think it is. But it does discriminate with age. It is ageist. So, for instance, if you're below 64 years old in the UK, the NHS suggests you can have up to 30 grams a day. That's not bad. Not bad at all. If you're over 64, up to 20 grams. So there's 10 grams that disappears on your 64th birthday. Sorry about that. If you go over these amounts, it just means you're in no man's land. Okay, so it doesn't mean things are necessarily going to happen to you that are bad, but it is that no man's land. Okay, so these limits are, the majority of people are good to go at these limits. That's all it's saying. It doesn't mean you can't have more, but be careful. I guess the idea that our ancestors ate a lot of red meat is probably true, but they didn't have over-processed commercial meats that are high in antibiotics, fed absolute shit, and didn't have huge amounts of refined carbohydrates to contend with at the same time, coupled with a sedentary life. You can get the idea. People seem to forget that fasting would have been the norm, and that meat probably was eaten in smaller quantities to make it last for longer for the whole tribe. Yeah, that's right. You know, there's multiple ways of looking at that. The reality is, I think it's easy to compare how we're supposed to live like our ancestors, but ultimately there has to be a realization that we can't live like that because a lot has changed in our environment when we compare it to 10,000 years ago. I'm not saying we can't get close to that. I'm just saying that a lot of viewpoints in nutrition and, say, the paleo diet or the carnivore diet are very absolute in their approach. And that's the bit I just don't buy into. I'm very much an omnivore. I'll eat a very varied diet. But we can take lessons from our ancestors, but we can also take a lot of lessons from actual science. So let's move forward and stop constantly moving backwards. Okay, so things like the carnivore diet, for instance, are just pure red meat. I'm not saying that you can't get any results on that, whether health or performance, but let's face it, it may not be practical for everyone. And that amount of consumption of red meat, how many animals do you think are on the planet in comparison to humans? I think most people need to cut down on red meat, not necessarily because it's bad for you, but because we overconsume more red meat than we actually need. That's the reality. So really, if you restricted pastries, pies, crisps, chocolate, and ate modest amounts of dairy, you'll probably be fine. So basically, cut the shit out of your food and you'll probably be fine. That's just, again, that low-hanging fruit. But we don't. We justify the extra chocolate bar or biscuit here and there, and we say that a little butter croissant with my large latte will be okay. It won't. That croissant averages 400 calories with about 12 grams, sometimes higher, of saturated fat and 36 grams of refined carbohydrate. That's the white sugar, with barely any fiber to do anything of value. You see my point. The saturated fat, like most things, are not bad, but our behavior towards foods tips the balance, and then we say things like, but I watch what I eat. Yes, straight into your mouth. Of course I tease you, but I only, because I used to be a lot bigger than I am now, I always battled with weight, personally. But I'm on a good path. I have been for quite a while, because you have to start from a place of honesty. Okay, that's the reality. So we have fats like polyunsaturated fats, which you may know as omega-3, omega-6. And a lot of people say, if I said omega-3, most people would say, oily fish. Perfect. Omega-3 is very useful to stabilize things like your LDL cholesterol, the so-called bad stuff, the evil stuff, and can help with things like insulin sensitivity and has some anti-inflammatory effects. It's all round good. Get more of it. And we can get this from oily fish like wild salmon, mackerel, sardines, herring, kipper, all the tasty fish that jump straight into my mouth. I tried to go for a smaller oily fish though, due to low levels of mercury. So things like swordfish are pretty much pointless eating. You'd probably have dementia for like 2 weeks because of the amount of mercury in a swordfish, for instance. But you don't necessarily have to eat oily fish. You can eat sauces such as walnuts, chia seeds, free-range eggs, flax or linseed, hemp seeds. I'm a big fan of just straight-up cod liver oil. In the UK, you can pretty much buy that anywhere. It's been a staple of the UK diet since, I think, World War II. Big fan of that. Natural high amounts of vitamin D, as well as quite a pure version of omega-3. It's the highest you can buy in a supermarket, in fact. 2 dessert spoonfuls of that in the morning will sort you out. And that's exactly what I do. Big fan. Omega-6 is useful in its original state, direct from seeds such as pumpkin seeds. Very useful, especially if you have blood pressure issues. It's high in protein, fiber, can help with blood pressure issues, like I just mentioned. The issue with omega-6 oils is that they they're normally sold partially hydrogenated to extend shelf life and bring down cost, which is a bit disturbing, because what we definitely know about this process is that it can increase the cause of certain disease states, such as coronary heart disease, stroke rates, cancer rates, and so on. And yet we still seem to sell it on our supermarket shelves. Which is pretty disturbing, to be fair, let's face it. So try not to go for the highly refined industrial vegetable oils. Try and go for either the monounsaturated fats. So olive oil doesn't do well necessarily at high temperatures for high temperature cooking, but things like avocado oil are quite useful. I use in my cupboard at home, I've got avocado oil, walnut oil, almond oil, and I use a bit of ghee from free-range cows, or non-pasteurized butter, mainly for the K2 vitamin that it gives you, which is phenomenal, by the way. Sometimes difficult to get hold of. So yeah, get more of those fats all round in your diet, especially the omega-3 and the monounsaturated fats, and see health improve. It's an investment. As well as that, you definitely need protein. And if I was to say to you, protein normally comes from things that have eyes, that run around on the ground. So people normally straight away think of either red meat or white meat. I'm a big fan of more white meats, chicken, turkey, and so on. But we need protein. It's needed for every cell in your body. Repair, replace, build, maintain, uses energy, to create certain chemicals in the body and the brain. And if you fail to consume enough protein, then your health will definitely decline, no questions asked. So before you go to the doctor suffering from frequent illness and cognitive decline and depression, are you eating enough protein, really? A good place to start is 1 gram per kilo of body weight. So if you weigh 85 kilos, 85 grams of protein a day is a good place to start. If you're looking to increase muscle tissue or repair generally, then you can increase that to 1.1, 1.2, up to 1.4 grams per kilo of body weight. And then you just kind of divide that up amongst your meals. So, for instance, it may look like, a couple of chicken breasts and some nuts per day. It's not probably as much as you think it is. Okay, not everyone is a top performing athlete, but you need these. Okay, you need protein. You need some good fats. And I promise you, if people just ate good, organic, free-range sources of protein, they had good organic sources of your monounsaturated Mediterranean fats and your omega-3 fats with some omega-6, and as much veg as you can eat, your health will definitely increase and weight will probably be definitely lost. There's, again, no two ways about it. You can pick up any diet book on the planet and it's going to tell you round about the same thing. So what if you don't eat meat? Where can you get decent sources of protein from? Well, like I said, I'm an omnivore, so I like a mixture of meats and lots of vegetation in my diet. So I'm a big fan of lentils, but you need to soak them. Lentils are part of they're a lectin, so they have like a natural defense mechanism that protects the plant from being eaten. So if you don't soak your lentils, it may cause gastrointestinal issues and decreases absorption rate and nutritional rate. So for instance, like red lentils, big fan. Make a taka dal. I soak them for about 5 hours, pour a little bit of apple cider vinegar in to ferment them a little bit, and they taste phenomenal. Okay, so lentils. There is tofu. I'm not a fan of tofu at all. It tastes like shit, to be fair. Tempeh, though, is a fermented form of tofu, completely different. Really kind of bioavailable, means your body can absorb it quite readily. You can fry it, you can oven cook it, it can go in curries, casseroles and so on. Really dense form of protein as well. Big fan of that. Chickpeas. Chickpeas are okay. You can eat them. I'm just my personal view. Quinoa is a whole grain with pretty much most vitamins and minerals that you need, as well as protein, fiber, and some carbohydrate. Buckwheat, peas, walnuts, and seeds such as pumpkin, sunflower, chia seeds, and almonds. These are quite dense sources of protein. Get these throughout the day, mix them in, especially if you're a veggie. And if you then supplement with a bit of B12 and K2, then there's no reason why you can't sustain more of a vegetarian diet. And on that note, if you're a vegan, there are key things to remember, such as your need to combine foods to complete a protein. So vegans may struggle purely because they don't know what they don't know. People assume that are vegan, so they go for the vegan meals in a supermarket. But let's face it, the fake bacon and the sausages, they're still technically junk food in the disguise of vegan must be good. Bullshit. Eat proper food as a vegan and you'll be good to go. Not that kind of Franken food. So, for instance, you can combine lentils with some rice to make a complete protein. I'm not necessarily for or against rice, but I'm just giving you an idea. The amino acids in lentils make up the deficit in rice and vice versa, so they combine to make a complete protein that you would get from animal produce. Just eating lentils and stating that it's high in protein, like some manufacturers do and vegan bloggers claim, is a part truth. It is high in protein, but it's high in the amino acids that it has, but it doesn't have all of them. So you need to combine it with other foods that make up for that deficit. Okay, and this is called food combining. So things like rice and lentils, rice and peas. Tempeh is already a complete protein, so you can add that to anything. Tofu is already complete, if you're into that. Buckwheat is already complete. Quinoa is already complete. A variety of different nuts like cashew, almonds, walnuts, beans of different varieties, such as creating a vegan chili, is awesome. There's tons of recipes, there's tons of ways to complete a protein and get a broad variety in your diet as a vegan. Please don't just default to those sausages or that fake bacon or whatever it is. Please don't default there, because it's boring and it will not give you the nutrition that you need. I promise. You'll become deficient completely. Like I said, you will need B12 and you will need K2, because you probably just won't get enough of those in your diet, and probably B6 would help. Things like carbohydrates, people fear carbohydrates, don't they? They've been completely demonized, again, by an ideology. Either the hype around surrounding type 2 diabetes prevention, or kind of keto diet groups and so on. I mean, I've worked in diabetes prevention. I can tell you now, one size does not fit all with carbs and the spectrum to sugar. I'm not suggesting that they're off the hook completely, but there's no need for extremes. All carbs basically come from the ground, from trees, plants, and so on. And we as humans are really wise, and we need to make profit. So we take these awesome carbohydrates, we refine them, which basically gets rid of the nutrition, and bacteria, which basically extends shelf life. So people don't eat them, animals don't eat them in storage. And we're left with the white stuff we call sugar. And that's pretty fucking awful. But to tarnish all carbs with the same brush is counterproductive, as vegetables are technically carbohydrates and contain tons of vitamins, minerals, as well as fiber. An adequate intake of carbs is useful for energy, but people just eat far too many than what they need to achieve. If I sit on my arse all day at a desk on my computer, which sometimes happens, to be fair, I don't need that much fuel in the tank. Let's face it, I just don't. I'm currently training for an endurance competition, and on days where I'm doing a long cycle, a long swim or something like that, I will increase my carbohydrate intake. On days where I'm not doing much, I'll decrease it. But protein and fats and vegetables are constant. So that's really what it is. I mean, imagine you're a car and you're parked on your drive. How much fuel do you need in the tank? You need probably a squirt just to keep it ticking over. I.e., you don't need much. The more you take it out, the longer journeys you have, the faster journeys you have, you need more and more and more fuel. Treat your carbohydrate consumption exactly like that. Do you think Sir Mo Farah at the start of the marathon is concerned with the carb loading he probably went under the last 3 days? No, because his diet matches the demands of his life. Your diet, your nutrition should reflect the same. If you're very active, then you need to probably consume a bit more. If you're not active, if you're sedentary, if you're retired and not doing much, you don't need that much. So please adjust your diet accordingly. So I'll give you an idea about kind of the nonsense that's out there. I went to a coffee shop earlier, and coffee shops are dreadful when it comes to refined sugars, let's face it. And bear in mind, I'm parked, so I'm like the parked car in that coffee shop. And it would be a bad choice to go for that lovely chocolate fudge cake. All 400 calories of it. Now, if you're the person then sitting there thinking of how much exercise it would take to burn that off, go back to the start of this podcast, turn it back on and re-listen. Remember, it's not the calories, it's nutrition. It doesn't quite work in terms of, well, I've had that chocolate and this is how much exercise it will take me to burn off. It just doesn't work that way, unfortunately. If you think it does, you go and study nutrition. Come and study with me. I promise I will not let you down. I know I digress a little, but you kind of see my point. Carbohydrates are as bad as the context in which they reside. Okay, and I will stick by with, we all know what is good and bad. So start there. Cake is cake, even with carrots. Yes, carrot cake is still cake. It's like breakfast cereals in the morning. You know, people justify eating Rice Krispies or Cocoa Pops. It's chocolate on rice. Be objective. You're eating chocolate on rice. Can you imagine the person who invented that? I'm telling you, the person who invented that is a stoner. Yes. Back in the days, I dabbled. Understatement. I dabbled. And I promise you now, the sort of thoughts I would have had at the time, I would have thought, how can I combine carbohydrates with chocolate? Oh, do you know what? I'm just going to pour chocolate on rice and then sell it as a breakfast cereal. Come on. It's chocolate on rice. I know I digress, sorry. Fiber. We need fiber. I really have given up on the bias for and against. You'll see this on Twitter. People are like, oh, you don't need fiber, or you need too much of it. Fuck it, you need fiber. Just eat vegetation. But Jesus, it's not difficult. Eat vegetation. We need fiber. Okay, enough said. People often say our ancestors didn't have it. If you're from Northern Europe, yes, but they didn't have the sheer volume of stress that causes IBS, constipation, high levels of colon cancer. They didn't have the volume of sugar, high cholesterol levels to deal with. I'll take my chances with fiber, stay regular, decrease my chance of colon cancer by 99%, all while stabilizing my blood sugar whilst maintaining healthy cholesterol levels. Thanks, though. You see what I mean? Like the science actually states that this is what fiber will do for us, and yet people still bring their bias along. Even if you overconsume fiber, the worst thing that happens is you have an extra shit each day. That's it. Why the hell not? In 1942, okay, apparently there was something happening in Europe. If my history serves me correctly, the general population ate twice as many veg during rationing than we do now. That's just bonkers. During rationing, we ate twice as many veg then. Okay. Now, in the UK, the minimum was 5. It's now 7. But I would say to you, is that all you want to be? The minimum. Okay. The minimum. Is that all you're striving for? Eat more. Get more of it. We have kind of things like soluble fiber, which can break down within reason and positively affect our LDL cholesterol, which is our, bad cholesterol. We can get this from plants in the form of vegetables, some fruits, oats, barley, seed husk, lentils, peas, dried beans. We then have insoluble fiber, which can decrease the absorption of sugars into our bodies and keeps us regular to avoid constipation. We get these from bran skins of fruits, veg, nuts, seeds, whole grain foods, and so on. We then have these awesome resistant starch or non-starch polysaccharides, and these act as probiotics for the bacteria in our guts, which is pretty awesome. And these create basically short-chain fatty acids that we use for beneficial processes in our bodies. You can get these mainly from non-ripe bananas, or my personal favorite is baked potato that is now cold. So baked potato, let it go cold, put a little bit of olive oil on, pinch of grey sea salt, eat it like you would an apple. It's delicious and really nutritionally dense. And on top of that, the places where you get fiber from, we have vitamins and minerals, and these are the spark plugs for your metabolism. We get these from vegetation, the animals that eat vegetation, and we destroy or remove these from our foods during the refinement process. We then fortify foods to make them digestible. Fortify just means it's a dead food. Without vitamins and minerals, it wouldn't matter too much about food, as you won't be able to access the energy within it anyway. So, all in all, I'm hoping I've given you the general gist on nutritional behaviours. That it's not necessarily the food, it's our behaviours towards the food. It's how we think about things. It's starting from a place of honesty. What do I want? Do I want to lose weight? If you want to lose weight, then don't necessarily think about the calories. Think about lifestyle as a whole. Does my lifestyle dictate weight management? Does my lifestyle dictate health? And I mentioned vaguely before in my ramblings that health is like a bank account. You will invest in your bank account, but you also make withdrawals. So imagine things like vegetables, things like your lean, free-range organic protein sources, your monounsaturated and your omega-3 fats, and I haven't even mentioned water or hydration. These are, and obviously sleep and spending time with yourself. These are all the things that you invest in. Okay, you're inputting into your health bank account. The withdrawals are, well, those chocolate bars, those pastries, that lack of sleep, not drinking water, too much refined sugar, too much stress in your life. These are the withdrawals. And in my expert opinion, yes, that's right, I said expert. I can do that. It's my podcast. In my expert opinion, people live in their overdrafts. People aren't even, I guess, taking money out of their account. They're using someone else's money. They're on credit. Okay, they're on borrowed time. And this is the biggest issue. So start from a place of truth. What do you actually want? It only takes minor adjustments to your lifestyle right now to become healthier, to become more invested in your health. So seek sleep each night. That 8 hours of sleep, not always possible. Seek spending time with yourself, meditation, yoga, going for walks in nature, movement in general. Breathe natural air, hydrate yourself, eat whole natural foods. Invest in yourself, invest in your health. This podcast episode is more of a plead with things that I see every day, and I am an observer of people. I like coffee shop culture. I sit there with my cortado or on my espresso, sometimes dabble in a cappuccino, but I sit there and I just observe how people are, okay? And it's not necessarily the best at the moment, and the stats in the UK especially, I can't comment on other countries, but in the UK are not the best. Where I live, in Milton Keynes, you go on the local government website and it states by 2050 100% of females will be obese. 100%, the way the numbers are going. 80% of males will be obese. Is this really what we're going to live for? Is this what our expectation is? Now, Milton Keynes, where I live, is literally built for activity. Okay, it's designed for moving, unbelievably. Okay, is this what we're expecting? Is this what we want for our kids as well? I know I'm going off on a tangent, but I do feel passionate about this. Please start making these minor changes today, not New Year's Day, not after Easter, not after your birthday, not after whatever that event is. Tomorrow is tomorrow. If you know today you've sat and you've kind of binged on that chocolate bar, that popcorn and the rest of it, then get over it. Okay, you've done it, get over it. Start either later on today or tomorrow morning, but do not leave it longer than that. Do not fall into the I'll start again Monday syndrome. It's pointless. And I'll leave you with this objective reality. A lot of people I know, they'll binge on a Friday and think, oh, I've come off my diet, this is pointless, I'll start again Monday. So now you've just written off Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's almost half the week. Some people I know do that every week. That's almost half a year. So you want to know why you're not losing weight? You want to know why you're not increasing health? It's to do with your mentality, not the food. You've written off half the year. Now I know if everything else is equal in your life, and I like to dunk 4 digestive biscuits, cookies, into my tea, my cup of tea, because I'm British, obviously, last thing at night. And I get rid of 2 of those biscuits, about 100 calories. I would lose about a stone in weight in that year, everything else being equal, a stone in weight, just from 2 biscuits. It's that simple. Do what you need to do, get the job done. I think I'll finish there. I think that's all my ramblings for today. I hope there was something within this that was of interest. If you want to study with me, okay, if you want to study with me, under me, over me, next to me, whatever it is, and you want an actual qualification in personal training, you don't even have to use the personal training qualification. A lot of people do it because they want to improve themselves. But within that, we talk about program design, anatomy and physiology. Nutrition is a big part of it. And we also talk about the business side of it as well. Okay, it's over 10 weekends. It is in Milton Keynes in the UK, but we are branching out to Bristol, Brighton, Birmingham, Manchester and Edinburgh, and then looking to take it into Asia. So if you are interested, we do have distance learning available. Please go to onezenacademy.com and have a look, have a look at the dates and so on. We also do online personal training. So if you're looking to improve health or you want some health coaching, please invest in yourself. Contact us today and we can start that process going. So my name's been Kieran and it still is. Enjoy the rest of your day and much love to you all. Thank you for listening to the One Zen Fitness Academy podcast. My name's been Kieran. Please share with your friends, leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. Thank you for your time.